And tonight I'm happy to start with introducing a fellow Trinity alumnus, our alumna, Miss April Ancira. As the Vice President of Ancira Auto Group, April oversees the operations of 11 locations, and with San Antonio roots, she's worked in the car business since 1997 in every facet, from being an operator and a cashier to selling cars on the lot and the front line. April is also the host of KLRN's public television arts program every Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m., so please tune in. She holds a pilot's license, has done stand-up comedy, and loves to compete in competitive races of all sorts. It's my pleasure to welcome back to campus Ms. April Ancira.
I would be completely remiss if I didn't mention, for PR purposes, that the programming on KLRN has switched now to 9 p.m. on Thursdays. So please tune in. Right now I have 4,500 viewers because I made my marketing guy look it up, and I would appreciate having 4,750, right? That's about right for what's in here. 4,750. So it's a great show. Every Thursday night we talk about local artists and what's going on in San Antonio, and then we branch out to other things going on in the U.S. So here I am. What am I going to talk about? It's not going to be cars, surprisingly. It's also not going to be art, surprisingly. For those of you that know me, this isn't a surprise at all. I usually come in, peeling in. I told poor Vicky, who put a lot of this together over there, this was all due last week at Wednesday, I think it was like Wednesday, and just like my Trinity education, which was fantastic. However, I was the student that came in last minute and turned it in last night at 10:56 p.m. I also have no notes like everybody else, so we're here for a fun, wild ride, and I hope you guys can have a good time with me, because I've had 3 glasses of wine so far, so it's gonna be a good time. So we're gonna wing it, and this is actually, this is about the unexpected Iron Man, and this is how my journey to Iron Man actually. Everybody knows, well, here we go. Wait, was that the space bar? No, I'm having the same. Mary, I need you to come up here and help me. You were a professional at this. Okay, this is an actual sign from my Marriott hotel. Iron Man attendees, please do not hang an IV bag from your sprinkler head. So why would anyone do an Iron Man? Also, right before an Iron Man I did was a sign that said, unsafe for swimming, which was the end point of my swim the next day where it was supposed to be. So why do an Ironman? Here's my son that we like to pose in various Burt Reynolds positions. And so he caused a lot of disorientation in my body, and like many people, I wanted to get in shape. And so there he is. He's so cute. Here I am with your same choice. Okay, so what do you do? This is a very famous slide. I don't know if everybody's seen it. What's your excuse? There's me pregnant. I had just gotten a bathing suit from the Houston Texans when I was pregnant, so I was trying it on. And I was like, sure, I can look like that. And you go over to the next slide. See, I made myself look exactly like that, like she did. Okay, so that's not gonna work. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna have to get back in shape. So I was swimming, I was biking, I running. I bought a bike. You see me on a tricycle there because my bike that I bought was an $800, which I thought was a splurge, much like a Huffy bike, right? But I was so bad at it, I couldn't even get the water off the bicycle. So I actually had to hire a coach to teach me how to get water off my bicycle thing there. So there's Bob. That's Coach Bob. He's about 74. You can see his bike. Looks nothing like the Huffy bike I just showed you, which isn't really a Huffy bike, but you know what I mean. And so Coach Bob spends 3 months teaching me how to get water off. Eventually I decide, let's put a goal in front of me since I'm swimming, biking, and running. Why don't we try a miniature triathlon? So you see these little sausages here in New Braunfels. I did the worst try ever, said I'd never do it again. Then I was like, let's do a half marathon. That's me barfing to a PR over here on the right side. And then finally I did a full marathon. I said, never do it again. Well, then what happened? I had another baby, which we like to put hats on. You can see these hats, some curly hair. Okay, now this baby's really done some damage, to what I recall from my Trinity years, right? I don't look the same. That's okay. I just, delivered life, but I want to get a little bit back in shape. So I'm like, all right, one more marathon. Let's do Big Sur. I read something about if you're going to only do one marathon, you have to do Big Sur. It's beautiful. I didn't really care how beautiful it was after mile 7. It was really, it doesn't even matter. It was sideways. It was windy. It was cold. They have a grand piano at mile 13. I was like, I'm so done. But then my dad and my coach convinced me to do an Ironman. And I was like, well, you know, they have one in Cozumel. Maybe I'll go on vacation there. So I decided to do an Ironman, and then I bought a bike. Whoa, okay, this bike's not $800. And then I bought a wetsuit, and then I bought a Garmin, and then I bought some food, and then all this stuff. Crazy expensive. So I go on my journey, and I turn out to be the wimpy warrior is what I call myself. This is the same temperature right here, me and Andrea Dukes, 46 degrees. You can see how she handles it and how I handle it. Totally different. Totally different. Also, the reason for my delay at this lake before I go swimming, there's sharks in a lake. Did you know that? There's sharks in a lake. Also, crocodiles, because they used to have gator bait. Things that can go wrong in an Ironman. You can fall off your bike. You can get really, really, really bad tan lines. You also fall asleep on the job or before training. So these are all the bad things that can happen to you. You can get pretty bruised up. I left the really bloody one off. Here's the good things. There's my husband helping our Hurricane Harvey friends. He decided to take my triathlon bag and my swim cap and goggles, just a little bit extra. Got a flat tire there, so I ended up driving to pick up my husband's car that he left at some other lot with my bicycle. And then my son forgot his backpack at school. So I ended up putting his backpack in and fitting my ride in, dropped off his backpack, and kept going on my ride just to finish off the day. So a lot of handy things. Okay, Garmin's. You can't lie on your training routes. As you can see here, you can see where I had a brief pause when I went to the restroom, right there. Can you see that? Right there, my second loop. And then the other one shows you where I beached myself while I was swimming. So yeah, I kept swimming and it got really shallow and I kept going. Here's Ironman Austin, 70.3. I finished that and I swore I'd never do another one. I was like, I'm done, no more. That was too many miles, 70.3. Plus it was my birthday, terrible. Okay, well, here's Galveston, 70.3. That's my new coach, Jen, because poor Bob had some back issues and couldn't coach me anymore. So Jen Rulon, who just went to Kona this year, she's pretty awesome, ended up being my new coach on my way to what became Ironman Texas. Okay, I put this is the finish at Ironman Galveston. This girl next to me, Kim, I don't want to take her anywhere anymore. This is my best friend because if you can see her arms up there, everybody tells me, oh, well, good luck on the race tomorrow to her and ask me how I'm going to cheer her on and if I've been there for her before. And so she comes to all this stuff with me. It's terrible. So I finally get there, and here's my marathons are cute because that's the last of an Ironman. An Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and a 26.2 mile run at the very end. It takes me 13 to 14 hours, faster people, less time. So this is the best part about an Ironman is your cheering crew. There's Kim. Thank God she's wearing a sweatshirt in this one picture because it's just terrible. There they got kicked off the highway for cheering me on the bike. Here, what they do is drink all day. At the end of one of my Ironmans, my husband came up and was like, I don't even know how you're still standing because everybody else is just falling down after they finish. And I was like, whoa, you had a rough day, buddy. This is after Ironman Texas. This was my first Ironman. And that day, it was extremely hot. The bike had 89 turns because there had just been a flood. And then it got windy, hail, rainy, and then Yetis were flying in the thing, and in the little river that they had, and then freezing cold. So it was like worst Ironman ever. Totally finished. It said 9 hours, but it only said 9 hours because the electricity froze. It wasn't 9 hours at all. It was like 13. And then the last slide that you saw there was the fact that after I did Ironman Texas, I said, never again. I don't want to ever do this again, just like I said every single time. And then I signed up for Ironman Vineman after that, and then Ironman Texas again. And this coming year, I have Ironman Texas and Ironman Lake Placid again. So I'm pretty much addicted to this sport. The great news, Mary Ullman Jaffet is in the crowd, our Trinity alumni with San Antonio Sports, right? Mary, sound a little more excited than the other Mary's friend. There you go. Okay, there she is. Okay, And we were actually trying to get an Ironman to come to San Antonio as well. So that's a pretty exciting thing to have here. And it's been a great journey as an accidental Ironman, and I've had a lot of fun doing it.
Thank you very much, April. So we were speaking a little bit beforehand about my own wimpy triathlon experience, I think was the word you used. I did a triathlon last August in Windcrest, where you swim back and forth in the lanes in the pool.
Yeah.
April made me feel a little better. She said she had one spa day triathlon.
There's one called Spa Girl at the JW Marriott every May. And not only is the swim in the lazy river, you get to go in the direction of the lazy river. Like, you could totally just float there and just come right back on around.
We expect you all to sign up.
And they serve quiche and mimosas at the finish line.
So, in all seriousness, though, from the worst try, which sounds like your first mini, to the Ironman, what was the duration of time it took you to upgrade to, like, the full deal there? That's a huge step up.
It was actually a while. I wouldn't even consider the worst try at the beginning of my triathlon adventures, because I stopped from there and went directly into a lot of running. But that was in 2010 when my only son, he was born. And then my daughter was born in 2012, and I would say probably around 2014 is when the real triathlon thought came into plan, because my dad was watching NBC. They air the championships usually at the end of November or in December from Kona, and he goes, "Hey, there's a father-daughter team," and he goes, "Oh, that's us. We should do that." And I was like, Ironman's for crazy people. And then my coach was like, "You should do this," and I was like, "Ironman's for crazy people." And then I went home and I was like, Ironman Cozumel, and I Googled it, and what's funny is that year we had reached astronomical sales levels. And I was like, people are exceeding their level of sales here, doing crazy things that they never expect they could do. And I said, you know what, I'm going to challenge myself this year, and I'm going to sign up for an Ironman and do something crazy.
Well, I think I will have a lot of company here and say congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
What's the date of your next Ironman?
My next Ironman is the end of April. I think it's the 28th. I'm not sure. It's Ironman, Texas. I have an absolute beef with that venue. So I'll be back to do it again there before I do Ironman Lake Placid in July.
Well, I'll be taking numbers afterwards to wear the little umbrella hats.
Yeah.
So find me
It's a party fest.
April,
Thank you.
Thank you.